Now let us look at how to retrieve data from the database using SQL select statements. For that, let me create a new Java program. So I'm going to right click on the package, new class. The name of the class, let's say get all products. Let's also add a public static void main. Click finish, get rid of this to do, and then make this full screen. First, let's declare a SQL command to get all the data. So I have to say select star from products. You can give any complicated SQL select statements over here, but we'll begin with the simple one. By default, it retrieves all the values in the order in which it has been stored. So if I copy this command and then go over here and then execute, which is already over here, this is the order in which I'm going to get the records. So whenever you execute this select star from products, you will receive all the records in the form of an object called result set. And let's see how to handle that. Let's go back over here. And as usual, let's put a try catch block. And then in the catch section, I'm going to simply print the stack trace. In the try block, this time we're going to declare three variables. Number one variable is, as usual, the connection, which is nothing but dbutil.getConnection. Let's import the same. Then either you can use a statement or prepared statement. In this case, it doesn't matter because we don't have any values accepted from the user. So there is no possibility of SQL injection over here. However, for better practice, we always would like to prefer prepared statement. So make it a habit to use prepared statement. You will never have a problem. So I'm going to create here a variable of type prepared statement. Let's call it as stmt. And then I say con.prepare statement. We need to supply that SQL command. Let's import prepared statement. And then we now collect the result of SQL executions. So we're going to say here result set rs equals to stmt.execute query. Once again, let's import result set from java.sql package. So at this line, we have already sent the command to the backend, and on the H2 server, it has been compiled and kept ready for execution. But the actual execution happens when you do this, and then the server will send all the records corresponding to this query, and that is now held with an object of type result set rs. You can think of rs is a reference to a collection of rows, but it points to a record before the first row. So we call it as a position before first. We have to move the record pointer to the first record or the next record or the last record or to a given record number. To move a record, I may say rs.next. And notice that the rs.next gives you a boolean to indicate whether it was successfully moved to the next record or not. We can use this return value to check if we really have to go and fetch the values or not. If the return value of rs.next is false, that means we are not able to move to any record, so we don't have to access the data. But if it is true, that means we were able to successfully move to a particular record, and now we can access the value. So generally, when you have a collection of rows that come back from the server, we use a loop, and the loop can be done something like while rs.next, because this rs.next will decide whether the loop should continue or not. So since we have 4 records at this time, when this is called first time, it moves to the first record and also returns true. And because it returned true, we are inside the loop. Now I can actually access the values and print the same thing. Let's say at this time we want to print the name and price of each product. So let's type here string name equals to rs.get. And since name is a string, we can say get string. And notice 2 variants over here. I can give the column index. So star indicates all columns. So in that, the second column is the name. So you can go back and verify here. So this is the column number 2, column number 3, 4, and 5. So either the number representing the column position or the name of the column can be used. Now I generally prefer to use the name of the column, so we don't have to worry about the column positions, because tomorrow somebody without your knowledge might have inserted a new column or deleted a column. Your application may start giving errors. So to avoid that, we always prefer to use the column name. So I'm going to say here name, And the second one is the price. I want a double, so I'll say double price equals to rs dot get double. Again, you have these two variants. You can actually give column number 5. Just for the sake of demonstration, I will give, but my personal preference is always the column names. So I'll add a comment over here and say it's supposed to be get double of price, something like this, but this works anyways. And now that we have the name and price, let's just print them. So I'm going to say system.out.println. Let's type here name plus something like rupees plus price. Since we actually moved one time, it is actually printing the first record. And after printing its end of this loop, it's going back to the loop, and rs.next will try to move the record pointer to the second record this time, which is successful. So because it is successful, it returns true. The whole thing happens once again, but this time it's the second record that's being printed. And then the third record is also printed. Then when it comes to the fourth record, it is true and it prints the fourth record, goes back, and from the fourth record, it is trying to go to the next record which doesn't exist. And because it doesn't exist, it returns false. And because of that, the loop is skipped and you're back over here. You can probably give a message something like, that's all what we have. So I'll say system.out.println, that's all folks. Save it. And if I run the code, you should be able to get the 4 records that we have in our database table. In the next lecture, let's see how we can retrieve a single record and handle the same.